This edition of MacVoices could have been sponsored by you. MacVoices is always looking for sponsors who appreciate our high-signal, low-noise approach to tech topics with an Apple focus. Our sponsorship packages feature inclusion in all of the audio and video versions of MacVoices at all of their distribution points, a web presence, inclusion in the MacVoices Dispatch, our weekly newsletter, and more. Get the details by contacting me at chuck@macvoices.com or contact Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Welcome back to Mac Notables. This is the Talk of the Mac community. I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we have another Take Control author, actually a Take Control crash course author. This is the new series from Take Control that condenses things down, gets you up to speed and up and running on any given topic even faster than the Take Control books do. This time, for her first time on MacVoices, I'm very excited and very happy to welcome Scholle McFarland. Scholle, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks, Chuck. Great to be here.
Yes, Scholle, as we were talking pre-show, I know our paths have crossed a million times. I have no idea why you haven't been here before, but I'm so glad you are now. So welcome.
Thanks.
So you are the author. This new crash course of yours is Yosemite, a Take Control crash course. You're right out of the gate with a big one, aren't you, Scholle?
Yeah, I guess so. It's true.
So we've had a little bit of introduction by Tanya as to what the Take Control crash courses are. We're all trying to sort of get a feel for this. So how are you going to get us up and running quick with Yosemite?
Well, the idea is that this is the least you need to know to get up and running with Yosemite. And the great thing about the Take Control crash courses is they're very visual. So there is one column of text, but right next to it is running screenshots and little tips. So there's a lot of ways to kind of glance down at the page and pick up different pieces of information really easily. It's like the best of a magazine layout, really.
Yes, Tanya had talked a little bit about the importance of this new layout, especially for the crash courses, and I like it. I mean, you're right. Screenshots, trying to present text and screenshots together can always be challenging, and I like the idea now of having them side by side. It probably means that the screenshots have to be a little smaller, but at the same time, they're more relevant to what you're trying to read or reference.
Well, we've tried to zoom in quite a bit to focus on exactly what we're talking about so that you're not getting a little teeny tiny thing. That's actually something we've been working on and trying to figure out as we've gone through this for the first time, because these are the first books in the series that we're doing right now.
Yeah, and they come out at a perfect time because Yosemite is now out and it's a hot topic and everyone is excited. But I don't know about you, but I find that I'm so busy. When we do a new OS upgrade, I don't always get a chance to work with or play with some of the new features. And yet I know they're there and I want to, or I at least want to be introduced to them. And that seems to be what the crash course will do for me.
Yeah, that's the idea. So there's so many different things that are going on. This gives you an easy way to see, okay, here are the biggest new additions, and go straight to the ones that sound most interesting to you. See how you get them set up, and then see anything that you really need to know to use them effectively, because not all of them are as easy as you would think. Some of them require a little more finagling to get to actually work right.
Is that a technical term, finagling?
Yes.
All right, so give us a couple examples here, and let's go with both the easy and the finagling stuff.
Sure.
What are some things that people can get up and running easily in Yosemite with that are new features that will get them excited about the new version of the OS?
Well, probably the easiest thing. There's probably the two things that are really easy to use right away that no one will have any hardware problems with. So all Yosemite users will be able to take advantage of these, are the new Safari features and the new Spotlight features. And both of those are really cool. There's nothing earth-shattering, probably, unlike some of the other features that are hardware dependent. But Spotlight, for example, is really useful as it has developed in Yosemite. And Would you like me to explain it?
Yeah, please.
So now when you go to Spotlight, you're not just searching through your Mac. Previously, you would do a search and you'd get results that were your files, your folders. There were other things that you could get, like dictionary definitions and things like that. But you had to know some tricks to really be able to do that. I worked at Macworld for a long time. We did a lot of stories about uncovering those tricks. For instance, when you used Spotlight, if you hovered your cursor over one of your results, there were all these previews that you could see, but you had to know that you needed to hover over them. So you could play audio, you could play video, all sorts of things right there in Spotlight, but it was not at all obvious. With the new Spotlight, first of all, the Spotlight window is very big in the middle of your screen, which is good or bad. You can't move it, so it's stuck there, which can be a little annoying. But it's very obvious, and now previews happen automatically. So that means even though that's not new that you can get a lot of these previews, it's going to feel new to most people because they would have had no idea that they could do that before. So right underneath the Spotlight menu or field, there's a preview window, and it's always there, and you'll be able to see that, oh, I can play this video without having to open it. I can play this audio without having to open it. So that's really, I think, really useful and will be really useful to people day to day. The other thing is that now Spotlight doesn't just search through your files. It now goes out to the internet to get results. So that can be neat. For instance, if you want to go see a movie, you can just type in the movie's name, and Spotlight will go out and it will find in theaters now, and you'll see right there in your results movie times, the Rotten Tomatoes review rating, all sorts of information, trailers even, and that lets you skip several steps. You could have gone to Safari, you could have searched, you could have gone to your local theater site or to moviephone.com or something like that, or Rotten Tomatoes, gotten that information, but that would have taken a whole bunch of steps. And now Spotlight simplifies that down to really just typing in the name and clicking that result. So that's pretty neat. It's the same sort of thing for restaurants. If you want to go to a restaurant, you're looking just for pizza, say, you can type pizza into Spotlight, and it will, using your location information, find local pizza places for you, and even include their Yelp reviews right there in the preview window. So that makes that information so much more accessible, and that means that you can save a few steps. You don't need to go to Safari. You don't need to think about what site you need to search in. It's just all going to be right there for you really easily.
Is there a way to restrict that search? I mean, in other words, every time I type in, I don't know, Apocalypse Now, am I going to be just searching my hard drive? Am I going to be, or do I have the option to search the web, or is there a way to refine that? Because I can see it being a positive thing, but also an annoying thing. If I'm just looking on my hard drive, I don't want to go to the web.
Yeah, if you press, instead of pressing Command Spacebar, if you press Command Option Spacebar, you'll just be limited to searching your files. So there's a quick little way around that if those results are distracting, or you don't need extra stuff from the web.
Yeah. Because that's something I find so often with searching with so many different utilities. I don't want to go to the web. I know it's in this machine somewhere. Just stay there and look, please.
Yes. Yes, there's an easy way. When you know all you want is just the files you're looking for, you can use that shortcut instead and limit your search.
But see, those are the kind of little tricks and features that you need to be told, because otherwise you're probably just going to sit there and either be annoyed or stop using it, and you don't want to be either one of those.
Yep, it's true.
All right, so I'm almost afraid of this, but what is a finagled feature that we need?
Well, some of the features that have been most talked about, and for good reason, because they really are very cool, are Apple's continuity features. And those are the features in Yosemite that connect your Mac with your iOS 8 devices and let you pass information back and forth between them really easily, and even borrow features from your iOS 8 device for your Mac. So my favorite of the continuity features is actually the easiest one to use, and that's because its hardware requirements are a little bit lower, and that's the phone feature. So if you have a more recent iOS device and Mac, you can actually just a very few settings, and when your phone rings, it will also ring on your Mac and your iPad, actually, if you have an iPad, as long as they're all connected to the same Wi-Fi network and they're all using the same Apple ID. So that didn't sound all that interesting to me at first, but I realized it really solves a lot of daily hassles that I hadn't even realized were annoying me. I often leave my phone in my coat or in a bag. It's somewhere else in the house. The phone feature is just limited by Bluetooth range. So that means as long as your phone is within 33 feet of you, and that's a lot. It doesn't matter if it's in your pocket or stuffed at the bottom of your backpack. If it rings and you have everything set up, your Mac will also ring. So it's great. You don't have to go running around the house searching for your phone frantically, knowing you're going to miss that call. A little notification pops up on your phone, on your screen. It rings just like it's a phone, and you can answer right there on your Mac. The flip side of that is if you are looking at your calendar, say, like has happened to me several times this week. I had a sick kid last week, and I'm looking at my calendar and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I need to make an appointment with a pediatrician. I can just switch over to my contacts, click on the number of the pediatrician, and call right from the Mac without having to go find my phone. And that is extremely convenient. So that I'd say is probably my favorite continuity feature right now, which was a surprise to me. It's maybe not even the flashiest one, but it really is very useful. The other continuity features, which include handoff and AirDrop, will lump under continuity, are really exciting, but they require really stringent hardware requirements. So these features, this is where the finagling comes in. These features, I think, are going to be a disappointment to a lot of people because you may have a Mac, you might have an iPhone or an iPad that is capable of running iOS 8 or Yosemite, but that doesn't mean that it's new enough to be able to support these really flashy new features. These features require Bluetooth 4, which is also known as Bluetooth Low Energy, but that's not all they require. And this has been something that people have been trying to figure out. You'll go online, you'll see a ton of articles on Ars Technica and all other places trying to make charts of which Macs support these features. And as time is going on now and we're getting closer to the actual launch of Yosemite, it's appearing that not even that whole list that those sites have compiled actually do support the features. In my case, I have a test machine, which is a Mac Mini from mid-2011. That's kind of as far back as you can go with your Macs and support these features, supposedly. My Mac Mini does have the right form of Bluetooth, but it does not, nothing except for the phone feature works on it. So there's something else going on as well. Your Mac needs to be able to support peer-to-peer Wi-Fi connections. And so I think we're going to really have to wait until Yosemite is shipping, and hopefully Apple will update what the requirements are. But basically, you need a fairly new Mac and a fairly new iOS 8 device to be able to run these features. And that's what a lot of people have been struggling to figure out. Why aren't they seeing settings? Why aren't these things working? And it's because these features use really the newest hardware, which is great. It's great that we get to have these cool features, but it's going to be pretty disappointing for people who looked at the initial requirement list for Yosemite and then realize, their 3 or 4-year-old Mac is too old to be able to do any of these things. So
I'm hoping somewhere along the line, that whether it's an Apple utility or an independent developer, can develop something that just I launch on my Mac, I launch on my iPhone or my iPad, and it says you have access to these features. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, either green or red. That's
Yeah.
it.
Well, actually, if you go to System Profile, you can see, you have to dig around a little bit, but if you go to under your Apple menu and go to About This Mac and then go to System Report, you can actually look under Bluetooth, and it will say now if you have Yosemite on your machine. So when we're out of the beta phase and the shipping software is out, it does say Bluetooth low energy supported. Yes. Handoff supported. Yes. Instant hotspot supported. Yes. So it has that. The thing is, if you're on my other machine that doesn't support these features, some of those things just aren't there. It's like they're trying to hide the bad news or whatever, soften the blow. They just don't mention handoff. So it's not as clear as it could be. It would be nice. It needs to get a lot clearer for people, because I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed. But if it softens the blow at all, the phone features, their requirements appear to be a little bit less stringent than the AirDrop and the handoff. So that is the one that more people will have access. And in my experience, that actually is the most useful of the features on a daily basis. So that's good.
Yeah, and I don't know how I feel about this. I guess the Macs have always had a bit of a legacy of holding their value, which is a good thing. And the fact that it's backward compatible and can run the latest version of the OS with the security benefits, and sometimes and not always the speed benefits, and a lot of the feature benefits, but not everything. I don't think you can expect a 4-year-old Mac, even a 3-year-old Mac, to be up to date with everything as fast as technology is moving. On the other hand, you hate to trade machines every 3 years, but we're almost to that point that if you want to get the best value for them, you need to sell them as soon as you can when a new machine comes out, and just keep chasing it on up.
Well, I think people are used to expecting with their phones that they'll upgrade every other year, for instance, and that means that they'll stay pretty current of what's going on. But it's kind of harsh to realize that you're going to need to update your desktop machines, or especially a laptop. These machines are, they're expensive, they're spendy. To think about them being obsolete so quickly is, I think, a new thing with Macs. But I will say it's only these new features, the new continuity features, that you don't have access to. The look, for one thing, whether or not, I don't know. I mean, it's a free update. You get the look for free, but the improvements to the built-in Apple apps, like Safari, like calendar, messages, all that kind of stuff, you do get those. But the continuity features are the things that people are really talking about because they're exciting. So you are missing out on the flashiest of the new features.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that makes the Mac obsolete. I think it just makes it, I hate to even say feature crippled, because that's not really accurate either. Yeah. It's just not feature complete, maybe. How's that?
Yeah.
That's politically correct.
Well, the thing is, since handoff, for instance, which is all about being able to move from device to device easily. So say you're writing an email on your iPhone, you're right in the middle of the message, and now you've arrived at your desktop Mac. You can just set down your phone, and then you see an activity icon pop up on your dock, and boom, there's your message that you were in the middle of writing up on your desktop Mac. The thing about that is it's about moving from device to device, but it's going to be only moving between your newer devices to your newer devices. So often people who have multiple devices, some of them are older. That's part of the reason, they're sort of moving machines to other uses. So the older Macs will be left out of that. But of course, there's always a million things to do with your older Macs. So I'm sure we'll just see more creative uses.
Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit here on the show, that there are some notable things that you can do with old Macs. And I hate to say even old Macs, just not current Macs.
Not current Mac.
You can always use an extra Mac. I mean, there are times I wish I had 2 or 3 more around here, just because it's so convenient and they can do so many things, even if they're not running absolutely the latest and greatest software. They can be very, very useful.
Well, I have a 10-year-old, so he's just rubbing his hands waiting to turn my old Mac into a Minecraft server. Like, I can't run those features. You can't use it anymore. So.
Wow, a 10-year-old wants to create a Minecraft server. That's how times have changed.
That's where it's at right now with the 10-year-olds, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Shall any surprises that you think people would be interested in that you found when you were developing this book that you ended up covering or giving advice on?
Well, let's see. Surprises in terms of updates to the apps, or what kind of thing are you thinking about?
I'm thinking about anything that maybe doesn't behave like you think it would, or that behaves beyond the way you think it would.
Well, I'll tell you. I think one of the things that we covered in the book, which it's not exactly a surprise, but we actually covered some Mavericks features that we think people didn't realize were there. So I think actually there are some cool features now that the OS is revving so quickly that my husband, for instance, is a pretty hardcore geek. And I did one of my chapters is about using Finder tabs. That's a Mavericks feature. It's where, just like if you're in Safari and you have multiple websites open, you can open them in tabs. As of the last rev of the OS, you can do the same thing in your Finder windows. So that means if you're moving things between a bunch of folders, instead of having them all over your screen, especially if you're on a little laptop screen, you can have them organized into nice little neat tabs, and you can move things back and forth. That's a small feature, but it's actually a really useful organizational feature. And I think there are features like that, now that we're going so quickly, that people are just completely missing. Like, they have no idea that they even happened. So I hope the book is going to help people catch up also with some things that they may not have realized were there, or they may have kind of looked at and been like, is that useful yet? And didn't think it was. But we do cover Finder tabs and Finder tags, the tagging feature that was added in Mavericks too. And I think there are a lot of really cool newer features that people have not been using, or just haven't gotten a chance to realize how they might help them in their daily work. And we've got a lot of that in here too. Another thing actually I would add to that is Notification Center. Notification Center has been around for a while now, but I think for most people, it's been something that was an aggravation, not something that added any kind of value to their day. In particular, because notifications pouring into your screen just can be so distracting. But Notification Center has been updated in Yosemite. And so in the book, I cover not only the new features to it, which are widgets, which is kind of a cool new thing that's happening in Yosemite, where you can, it's kind of like the next evolution of Dashboard, where we could have little programs, they call them widgets, like your little weather widget or your little world clock. And instead of being sort of left away in Dashboard, which is now in fact turned off by default in Yosemite, but it's still there. You can turn it on if you still like it. Some of that feature set is moved over into Notification Center. So one of the new things with Yosemite is there's a today view, just like you have on your phone, on your iPad. That view, when you swipe the wrong direction, and suddenly this view appears that says, "Today you have 2 appointments, and the weather is going to be like this." You can now get that in Notification Center on your Mac, and then you can customize it using the widgets. So if you have clients in several different time zones, you can have the clocks all lined up there with what time it is in those places. You can follow your stocks right there. You can see what your appointments are coming up. And then the promise is that there's going to be third-party widgets also. None of that's really available yet, but Apple has demoed a eBay widget, so you could keep track of your auctions. And the hope is there'll be a lot of cool widgets like that. So you have one place where you can kind of glance over and see things that you're keeping track of all grouped together in one place. But in the book, we don't just cover that. We also just give people the basics of how to work with notifications, because I think a lot of people don't know, for instance, that you can turn notifications off temporarily. There's a way to snooze them for different periods of times. You can get rid of the beeping if you hate that they're beeping. So all these things that I know people hate about notifications, I have tips in the book about how to deal with that, because you can make it work exactly the way you want to, that's going to help you instead of just hinder you, which is, I think, what a lot of people, they feel hindered by notifications for sure.
Scholle, I say this so often with any of the Take Control authors. It's just great that there is of someone who's gone through all this and can get us up to speed quickly. Your comments about Finder tabs, I think, are really interesting. You're right. That's a feature that I forget about, and then when I remember it, it's like, oh, I've discovered it all over again. And then a week later, I forget it, and it's, I can kick myself. And I guess it's maybe that something similar happened when they put them in Safari and the web browsers, that you forget just how useful they can be. So I think it's great that you included that and sort of remind us to take full advantage of it.
Yeah, we tried to think of what were the Mavericks features that were useful, but we knew people were not using yet, and made sure to include those too.
So Yosemite, a Take Control Crash Course, I got the title right, is out now. How much is it?
The book will be $10. It's available for pre-order now, and you can also get it bundled with our other Yosemite books. So Joe Kissel has an upgrading guide. And I think you can get it bundled also with our iOS 8 book, which is also available for pre-order right now. So
we just have a lot of things out there from Take Control that can help us get up to speed and get another brave new world from Apple.
Yeah, it's true.
Seems like
a lot of cool stuff this time.
Yeah. Before we leave you, I wanted to make sure I got a chance, gave you a chance to plug anything you want to plug. Where can folks find you when you're not writing Take Control Crash Courses?
Sure. I'm on Twitter at Scholle M, and my name is a little tricky. It's SCHOLLEM. I'm just doing all sorts of stuff for Take Control these days, and hope that everybody enjoys this new book.
Good. Well, I'm sure. And I hope you'll be back here on MacVoices with us, whether you have another book or maybe just to talk over who knows what the next hot topic will be.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you for being here.
All right.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. That's Scholle McFarland. She's the author of Yosemite, a Take Control Crash Course. Go check it out at takecontrolbooks.com and get up and running with Yosemite. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, the MacVoices Dispatch, to stay up to date on all the latest MacVoices news from our front page or at MacVoices.com/newsletter. Advertising and sponsorships handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.